Hey everyone, Comics Theories here, and today I'm going to be talking about an interesting idea where Tony Stark will sacrifice a different, older version of himself in order to save the trillions of people killed in Avengers Infinity War. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more content like this. Also, I'm going to be starting a feature on my videos where I'll be posting the coolest comment I see in the comment section down below. Whether that's being a cool theory or something that's generally wholesome or awesome. Let me know if you guys like the idea and are willing to be put in my videos. The first comment will be featured at the end of this video. With all that out of the way, I also want to preface this video by saying that this idea is not completely my own. I found the start of this theory on the Fan Theories subreddit from a user named Snickerway, and I'll be putting the link of the thread in the description. This is a fantastic theory, and I really encourage you guys to watch it until the end, as this is one of my favorite Avengers 4 theories, and I'm really excited about it. Basically, his or her comment talks about an Avengers 4 movie, which, unlike other theories, involves multiversal connections, rather than just a time travel movie. Note that this theory could work with time travel, but it might have to work through multiple timelines, as in traveling to the past would create a new timeline, which is basically just a parallel dimension. That being said, this theory also applies to time loops. Similar to the movie Looper, it really just depends on how Marvel decides to do time travel in Avengers 4. There's a ton of ways that time travel has been implemented before, like Back to the Future and Looper are both time travel movies, but the way it works is very different in each of them. Snickerway's comment implies acquiring the Soul Stone, or something else in which someone needs to be sacrificed, although the Soul Stone seems like my best guess for something that someone needs to be sacrificed for. In this theory, we need to go all the way back to Avengers era Tony. This is pre-Depression Tony Stark, and he's still very much in his diva antics. This is the time period before Tony is obsessed with space, making new suits, and the quote, endgame. I think this theory will take place either during the Battle of New York, or directly after it, right as the depression and stuff is kicking in for Tony. This Tony wants to be safe, secure, well-respected, have a loving wife, and a future with no stress. Examples of this anxiety are seen in basically the entirety of Iron Man 3, but most of you probably knew that already. I, as well as this Reddit user, think that Tony might come back from the future, or come from a different timeline or whatever, and explain to his younger self about what the future holds for him, specifically the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos, and all of the extraterrestrial warring that's going on. He might travel back in time through the acquiring of the Time Stone, but I doubt that's the case because he'd need to know how to use it, and with Doctor Strange gone, I find that highly improbable. Rather, he'll use Ant-Man in the quantum realm, either to go into a time vortex, which was explained or hinted at in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or he'll use the quantum realm as a multiversal traveling device, going to different timelines in order to defeat Thanos in the original one. He'll explain to his younger self that he might need the Soul Stone to complete a new Infinity Gauntlet, or for some other reason he's going to have to kill his future self in order to save humanity. For the sake of argument, let's say Tony wants to make a rival Infinity Gauntlet to help defeat Thanos, and that the Avengers find their way to Vormir, and need to obtain it by sacrifice. As we know from the eloquent words of the Red Skull, in order to take the stone, you must lose that which you love. But Tony doesn't love himself, so how does that make sense? Well, Tony might not love himself, but he does love his future self. Snickerway, the Reddit user, puts it magnificently. The Tony of the future is everything the Tony of the past wishes he could be. A respected hero, married with a kid on the way, and with a protege he loves like his own son. To take the Soul Stone, Tony has to throw that all away. By killing his future self, he sacrifices the life he so dearly wanted to live. He sacrifices helping Peter on his way to becoming a great hero. He sacrifices mending the broken bonds with his fellow Avengers, and he sacrifices seeing his own son's eyes. Any soldier can die for a cause, but it takes a truly selfless man to see his own future and still choose to make the sacrifice, which is what earns Tony the respect of the Soul Stone. This is the true, ultimate sacrifice, especially knowing that in the future, if this is a time loop scenario, that he will eventually end up having to be killed by his younger self. Snickerway goes on to say, in the end, after the battle is won, Tony uses the Mind Stone to erase his memories of the future, but the mark of the Soul Stone is indelible. The curse of knowledge Thanos spoke of wasn't just a metaphor. The true source of Tony's PTSD is the faint memory of the sacrifice he made. Tony is haunted by a deep sense of loss that he can't place the source of, and it's only years later, before the final battle against Thanos, that Tony truly understands what it was he gave up. For just a few moments before the end, Tony Stark is at peace. Excuse my language, but this theory is fucking awesome. There's obviously going to be some holes in the theory because it's not entirely fleshed out, and it definitely depends on how time travel will be used and how it will work within Avengers 4. But the general thought of this theory absolutely blows my mind. I just think it would be so cool right before Tony's death, where he has a flashback to all his memories before the event, and how they affected him up until this moment. This would be the reason why he is the way he is in Iron Man 3.
How did he get out of the wormhole?
Wait a minute, Tony. What did you say? Tony.
Sorry. Just check out the suit. Okay.
Age of Ultron.
We're the Avengers. We can bust arms dealers all the live long day, but that up there, that's the end game. How are you guys planning on beating that?
Together.
And at the beginning of Avengers Infinity War.
He takes what he wants, he wipes out half the population. He sent Loki. The attack on New York, that's him.
This is it.
At the beginning of Infinity War, when Bruce is explaining Thanos to Tony, he says, "This is it," almost like he's known that this day was coming for a long time. Everything Tony has done leading up to this point has been revolving around this battle. It was vague to Tony what battle it would be, but he knew there was one coming, and that's all you really need to know. If he wiped his mind with the Soul Stone, one could assume that somewhere those memories are still in his brain, and it just nagged at him all of those years. He knew something was coming. We've even seen it as far back as Age of Ultron, when he talked about the endgame. This just adds to the possibility of this theory, and I think it would be an amazing way to connect the previous movies. Another thing I thought about was Doctor Strange's final note to Tony, that we're in the endgame now. How could Doctor Strange have known to use those exact words if he only saw into the future past that point? The way to explain it is the loop. If he's seeing into the future, then he's seeing into Tony's future, which is then also his past. And he hears Tony talking to the fellow Avengers about the endgame. This would explain why Doctor Strange knew what the endgame was, and why now it's up to Tony to fix that, even if it means dying or being killed by his younger self. This theory is nuts, guys, and I think it's one for the ages. I really like this theory, if you can't already tell, and I'm really excited to see if something like this does end up happening in Avengers 4. The comment of the day is from a user named Eduardo Berroa, and I'd just like to thank him for all the support. Also guys, before we end the video, I just want to ask what your guys' opinion would be on a face cam. I think that I might start using one, and I'm not really sure if I should. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see it and if you'd like to see me in person. I'd love to get to know you guys a little bit better, and maybe you seeing my face might help that out. Although I'm not really sure if this channel needs it. Please just let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see that. Maybe I could start doing that, once we hit like 5,000 subscribers, for example, or some other milestone like that. But like I said, just let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'd love it if you commented down below discussing this theory, as it's one of my favorites. Also, give me some questions to answer. I love interacting with you guys. Thanks again. Have a great day.